Welcome to the Startup Grind.
So we're going to go ahead and bring Clara and Gerard up onto the stage. Count on up, guys.
What's going on, everyone? What up? Oh, that's a good mic.
So you're getting mine to work?
I guess I'm actually gonna put this over here.
Hello? Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Startup Grind. First and foremost, how many of you have heard of Gerard Adams? Raise your hand. That's a good amount. Look, it's awesome.
Sweet.
Cool. So first and foremost, I think Gerard has something super juicy for you guys, a sneak peek at one of his upcoming projects. So let's go ahead and touch on that first. We had to sort of MacGyver the equipment, and so forgive us if it's a little splotchy, should I say. You want to introduce
Yes, so this is the first time that I'm actually showing anyone the intro. I'm releasing a new web video series, and it's called Leaders Create Leaders. I'm excited about the launch, and I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of show it to all of you. I'd love to get your comments on it and thoughts. This has been something that's towards, my giving back to my whole career as an entrepreneur. It's been 13 years, a ton of ups, downs, as you can imagine, as any entrepreneur struggles. But through it all, I feel blessed that I get to live every single day with living a life full of passion and being able to meet so many amazing individuals throughout my life that are out there chasing their dreams, creating their own reality. So I dedicate this to my family, to everybody that's been a part of my journey throughout my entrepreneur career, everybody who I look forward to, being a part of this new journey since the last exit with Elite Daily, and thank you. This is the intro. Hopefully, we'll see how the audio syncs up.
Okay.
We live in a world where we've been told that success is for the lucky, the privileged, or those who follow a defined set of rules. We live in a society that still questions those who choose the unconventional path. It is my belief that fulfillment comes from creating your own life on your own terms, from challenging what you've been told, and striking the balance between grinding and living. If you want to change the world, first step is to change the way you look at it.
Gerard and his fellow co-founders took this bootstrap startup to 80 million monthly readers and got acquired for $50 million in just 3 years.
My name is Gerard Adams, and I'm the Millennial Mentor, co-founder of a publication known as Elite Daily. I'm a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, self-made millionaire, and advocate of those who define success for themselves. I dropped out of college. They told me I wouldn't make it. I didn't have no safety net, but I wanted to follow my dreams. Truth is, after I had all the penthouses, exotic cars, traveling, getting what I wanted, when I wanted it, I realized I wanted more than just material wealth. I realized that my passion was really about giving back. Because what I believe, there's any more millennial game changers in this world. Truly great leaders know.
Yeah.
Should probably
Ouch.
keep it.
Well,
First for almost a second.
we tried it, but it was getting into a part where I was explaining that, early on in my career, I thought success was about something else. I thought it was more about material things, and over time, I really realized that those things meant really nothing to me. It was really about impacting people's lives, inspiring others, working with a lot of early stage entrepreneurs. I've been blessed to be able to work with a lot of, young, individuals that are out there that are trying to, go after and become successful in their lives, and may have that fear of taking that first step, or what may happen, or coming out with that perfect plan and getting started. And I went through all of that, and I've gone through a lot in my life, and failures. I've had successes and a lot of experience that now I kind of want to be able to share those stories that and give back and try to offer my mentorship to more of to this next generation, and hopefully we can all come together and build a better world and create more amazing things.
Well, it's beautiful that after seeing the journey through, after your ups and downs and fighting through this war that is entrepreneurship, it's beautiful that you look back and you say, hey, I want to help someone, I want to mentor someone, I want to give that information to someone that's going through the struggle. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's what's truly like fulfilling for me throughout my whole life. It's been about that. It's, you know, I've always loved co-creating and really working with people who are out there trying to build success for themselves. And I owe a lot to my family as well. Have helped me along the way. And for me, it's been an amazing journey.
So I think it'd be great to start there first and foremost. Let's start with your family and sort of your upbringing and what impacted you the most to have the hunger and the drive that you have. Should I say moving into entrepreneurship and going through business?
So as I was touching base in the video, and I touched base with in more when I released the series, but I got raised in a time where my family, they were middle class, very hardworking, and I really looked up to both my parents. My father, worked day in and day out to provide for me and my sisters. My mom, same, 7 days a week, working at a supermarket just to help. And they both together as a team, like, really worked hard. And my grandparents, immigrated here as well to provide opportunity for, my mother, my father, their grandkids. And but as growing up, my family told me that, in order for me to truly become successful, I had to get these good grades. I had to go to a good college, and that way I can get a good job one day and be able to provide. And I always wanted to make my family proud growing up. I really wanted to, make them proud and get into the good school. But I really wasn't the smartest kid. In high school, I would launch different businesses to make money because I had to be able to provide for myself as well. And but I wanted to make them proud. So once I graduated high school, I decided to go, apply and go to college. And within my first semester, I realized during the time of internet and the tech industry was just starting to boom, and I was like, I really looked at college as I'm pro-education, but there's other paths that we can take in order to become successful and be able to self-educate and be able to create. So I decided to take that big risk early on, and during that first semester, I was like, they're telling me what classes to take to earn credits, and I'm getting into student loan debt, and I just feel like I can really go and learn, how to launch a business using the internet. So they supported me early on and said, if you fail, you're on your own. You're going to have to figure it out, but we support you if that's what you decide you want to do. And that kind of put pressure on me, but they've always were the biggest inspiration in my life, because I really wanted to be able to give back to them one day and take care of them. And so I owe a lot to them.
I feel like to a lot of our parents and their generation, you had to have a college degree and an advanced one, et cetera, to get a good job, to provide for a family, et cetera. So in that moment where you say, or where they say to you, if this works out, then that's amazing. We're going to support you. We love you. No matter what you want to do, do it. But at the same time, if you fail, you could end up just working an average job and et cetera. I can see how they had that sort of fear, yet also that inspiration for you, where they're like, we believe in you, but pressure's on, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was during a time where every single one of my friends were taking that path, going to college. They weren't it wasn't the cool thing to become an entrepreneur, I felt like, when I decided to drop out of college. So it was like I felt alone in a way. I'm like, everyone looked down on me. Everybody, my community, my friends, everybody looked down upon me like I was this college dropout, that I wasn't going to make anything out of my life. Yeah. And it was like really tough. But I liked the pressure, and it made me hungry to say, like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm not going to let anything deter me. It's on my own, and I can do it if I really truly put the work in and I'm dedicated. Like, I can make anything happen. And it didn't come without, obviously tons of mistakes and a big failure early on in my career that really impacted me.
Huh. So before Elite Daily, I'm sure there was your own version of self-education, which is going out there and sort of seeing what works. What successes and what failures did you hit before hitting Elite Daily out of the park?
So I'll tell you a little bit about like my first business. It was when I dropped out. I wanted to learn how to invest. I wanted to learn how to actually get involved with investing into the stock market and how do I get involved with learning how to trade and look for new companies that are going to become the next Apples of the world. And there really wasn't any financial communities online that had any form of credibility for each member that was part of the site. There were a lot of chat rooms and forums of people that were communicating about what companies that they were looking into, but you didn't know who was who. So my first idea was, well, what if I created a forum and I looked at the Amazon structure and eBay's model with their rating system. I said, well, what if I create something that has a rating system for each member, and you're able to then know if someone had 4 stars, 5 stars, and it was color coordinated with the gold stars, you knew that that they were actually a guru and knew how to invest into good companies. And then this was something that I was looking for. So I was like, if I'm looking for it, there's got to be other other young people out there that are looking to understand the stock market, understanding how to invest. So so then I took the $5,000 I had saved up, from working. I actually at one point even worked at a supermarket with my mom. I did whatever I could on the side, to just try to save up. And, took that $5,000, launched my first website. It was called StockSpot at that time. And just hustled every day to try to build that community, get it out there and build the community so I can learn from them. Yeah. And back then, I got 10,000 initial members. Through like traditional PPC methods and things like that, and that was a lot back then. But it allowed me to there was members that actually had those rankings. They became, almost like mentors to me, not even knowing it. And it taught me about how to understand fundamentals, how to read financial, income statements, balance sheets, understanding trends, understanding what made these companies fail. And that was the first idea I had. And then it led me to a company reaching out to me called M-Phase. It was a nanotechnology company that was reinventing the battery. And I was really excited when I met the CEO because at that time, even today, I still don't understand why we're charging our cell phones or carrying Mophis around and having to charge like 3 times a day. Yeah. And this company was using nanotechnology to reinvent the battery and create a infinite shelf life battery known as the nano battery. And when he met me, he was like, I think what you're doing is really unique. Right now, investor relations is done in a very traditional means, and you're using digital media as a way to build an investment community that a lot of us small companies would love to get exposure to. So he offered me the opportunity to join his company, and I asked that only if I can continue to build out my business, and he became my first mentor, and that became the first real failure that I really dealt with early on in my career. So I ended up working at M-Phase, and I really learned about investor relations. I did all of their PR, built their website, did video marketing for them, got them written in Wired magazine, and I built them to have the largest shareholder base out of any small cap company at the time, 18,000 shareholders. The company was doing amazing. It was up 400% during that year. The nano battery was, being talked about everywhere. And then I decided to call Ron one day and I said, we should do the first ever live demonstration of the nano battery. And at this demonstration, you could be able to raise, tens of millions of dollars to take this nano battery into mass production. Yeah. So he's like, I love it. You handle everything. So I handled everything. I got a venue, stage. I invited, investment bankers, investors, the shareholders, media. It was a huge event, successful. About 200 people showed up. Highly curated. I handled everything. I even called my buddy back home who, at the time was building an entertainment company to help me set up the stage and get me all set up. But I was like a teenager at the time. I was so young, so I never did public speaking before. I was super nervous. And then Ron was like, you got all these people in the room, just get out there, And I went out there, explained why, I believed in the company, and you've been talking to many of me, and then introduced the CEO, Ron Durando. He came up, said a speech, and they unveiled the nano battery. And in essence, it was showing on 2 screens that no energy was being used. And once they turned on this button, it was basically going to prove the concept that But they had essentially was a nano wafer that was separating the two liquids in a battery. And then once you turn this device on, it would open up these pores in the nano wafer, allowing the liquids to mix, therefore creating this infinite shelf life battery. So when he hit that button, he was going to prove that concept. Well, he hits this button, and it doesn't work.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, I was devastated. I'm like, this early in my career, I just put myself out there. Like, I've helped market him for the whole year.
All that blood, sweat, and tears.
You know, I'm like, I'm getting up there to say this speech and like all the work that went into it up until this point. And you literally, if you did hit this button and it worked, like he was raising millions of dollars. There was that much attention on the company. And like, what does that mean for a small company? I mean, he could have really done something. And I've seen it work. Like, he had a partnership with Lucent Bell Labs back then, which was a very big lab. So I was like, I was devastated. You know, I was like, what am I gonna do right now? You know, I did all of this work. I put myself out there, my reputation, everything's ruined. I don't know what I'm gonna do next, you know? And little by little, some of those people that were in that room were like, hey kid, I'm surprised you got me in this room. Call me. And, you know, after a little while, I said to myself, you know what? I'm not gonna let this stop me. If I was able to market this company and do what I did and get these people in this room, then that's a skill that I should really hone in on, and I should continue. And I ended up then creating an agency to help small cap companies. And that's what I did, you know, for the early in my career, up until about the crash in 2008. And I built it, you know, with a small team of 5. We did about 10 million a year in revenue, marketing. I was flying all over the country, you know, meeting with all these awesome new innovative companies. But as you know, with the stock market or just in startups in general, a high percentage of them fail.
Yeah.
So early on in my career, I've dealt with failure like nonstop. I mean, I was like helping market these companies, and then between management, you know, companies having trouble raising funds, or bad financing, or you know, mismanagement of funds. You know, there was just so many different variables back then. So I learned a lot about what companies did really, really well, and what companies and why they failed. And then up into about the crash. In recession around 2008, 2010, I kind of saw that happening. And now at this time, like, every one of my friends is graduating from college. They can't get a job. They're stuck in student loan debt. And I decided, at that point to start honing in on content more and start making documentaries about the economy. And the last documentary I had created was focused on the student loan debt crisis. But again, like, early on in my career, because I started out, understanding finance and starting off with that early failure, that like really helped shape the future of my career.
So I can imagine going into your first startup, it sounded like you were very open. It sounded like you're very open to trying anything to help. You were like, you know what, if I don't know it, I'll learn it. It sounded like you were doing PR, marketing, all sorts of different things, especially for your first startup, and then again for the second one. So what was the things that you found that you were naturally good at, and what were the things that were just excruciating? Because it sounds like you had covered like half the board.
Early on?
Early on, and also for the battery company.
Yeah. Oh, I knew that, like, the one thing that I was great at was like putting in the work. I mean, I sacrificed working. I mean, even the last 2 nights I was working till 4 or 5 in the morning, which is like crazy, like just, it's just my work ethic has always been there. Like, I don't take anything for granted, because early on in my career, like, I've lost millions of dollars. Like, I've hit rock bottom in my life, and I've had to make it back, and I've had to persevere. So I think work ethic from very, very early on was something that I learned from my parents. Leadership skills, to go against the grain very early on was a skill that I knew I had. Not being afraid to just take that leap of faith, and I highly believe in my intuition. I've always like followed that in a big way. But marketing was like content marketing was like something that I was really great at. Telling stories was something that I knew that I was really great at. Strategizing, how to be think outside the box. Everybody's going here, everybody's marketing this way. How can we do it different?
Yeah, everyone's zigging. How can I zag? sort of.
Right. So that was something that I was great at. Being resourceful. Because I didn't, grow up with those resources. So even to this day, I'm like, regardless, I'm like, how can I be resourceful? Networking, being a person to get out there and meet people and really get involved in understanding. One of my early mentors always told me that he was never an expert at any one thing. He was an expert of experts. And I wasn't the smartest kid growing up, So, and there's a lot of like trial and error and getting out there and experimenting. And I learned a lot from building out my network and understanding other people's skills and how can I bring people together so that we can align our goals and get there faster, smarter.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of that also is picking the good people, picking the winners, should I say, in many ways, especially when it comes to mentors. I know you do a lot of mentorship, especially now as well. Your earliest mentors, how did you pick them? Do you feel they picked you? And furthermore than that, what do you think their major contributions were to you?
So the CEO of that company that failed, I consider him a huge mentor. Because I want to learn from the people who've made mistakes. I don't want to just learn from the people who've had success. I want to learn from the people who've actually made those mistakes, have had the failures, are not afraid to admit to them, and that's how I can feel like I can get to where I want to be faster, from learning from that just as much, if not more, than from people's success. I've always had like a knack for like pinpointing certain people that I want to learn from. I'll give you an example. I mean, Ryan Blair, who will be in this series, is a big mentor to me now. And before starting Elite Daily, I was at a place where, when that crash happened, I made really big multi-million dollar trades, and I was like on top of the world. And then I got cocky, and I got like, fuck, like I'm great at understanding companies, and because I was actually flying and meeting during that time, like what companies were going to hedge the market, and going into mines, meeting CEOs, understanding the mining industry, documenting that, telling a story, and I was doing really well investing. And then what happened was I ended up making mistakes because I ended up letting go some of my principles, and I was up $20 million on my last trade. And I stopped paying attention for a little bit. I was like, oh, it's going to keep going. The next thing I know, I lost it all, and I was back at square one. And I was like I was devastated. I didn't tell anybody because I was like, man, it was a shot to my ego, at that time. And early on, when you're young, I'm like 24 years old, 25 years old. After having this success and then losing it, like it was like tough, but it again pushed me to say, like, you can do it again. And I was looking for a mentor, and I came across Ryan Blair's book called Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain. And I truly like to learn more from experience and from meeting people and more people person than reading a lot of books.
Yeah.
But this book resonated with me. I read it and I was blown away, learning from him, explaining all of the mistakes he's made, and I said, this guy I gotta meet. And I gave that book to my two co-founders before we started Elite Daily. I'm like, read this book. This is somebody we got to get in touch with. This should be inspiration for us. Like, we could build this. And my co-founders read the book. We all read the book, and we were like, we're going to meet this guy. And when we started Elite Daily, I reached out to Ryan, and I was tireless in getting in front of this guy. And now, I was able to get an interview with him and leverage my resources in Elite Daily. And now, he's been a big mentor of mine. So it's always kind of like, also definitely pinpointed certain people throughout my life. I mean, somebody pinpointed me, there's someone in the stands, his name's Cal Rich, and I thought this was really cool. I had some Knicks, I have Knicks season tickets. I bought the season tickets so I can spend time with my father, because I get so dedicated to my passion and my career. Family is really most important thing to me before anything. Yeah. And I got the tickets initially because I'm watching MSG one night, and this was many years ago, and I'm watching an old game from the 1990s. The Knicks were playing the Heat, and I see someone's up for a foul shot. I think it was Alonzo Mourning back in the day when he played for the Heat, I believe. And I see my dad in the stands, and I'm like, hold up, is that my father? So I pause it, and it's like an old game, and I'm like, wait a second, who's my dad with right now? Like, who do you go to this game with? I'm like, one second. And then I'm looking closer, and next thing I know, I'm looked down, and there's little old me, you know, like young. And I'm like, wow, my dad brought me to that playoff game, and it was like a memory that I somewhat forgot. You know, you forget certain stories. Yeah. And I was like, man, like, it's my dream one day to get my father's season tickets to the Knicks, you know, and like to have that time. So I was a big accomplishment for me to be able to do that. So fast forward, we couldn't go to the game this past week, so I offered him on Snapchat, and I said, you know, if someone really wants him, and I want you to write to me your story and how maybe you've been inspired, you know, by my posts and things. And this guy posts Cal, and he tells me that he bought a ticket to fly to New York because he was looking for my mentorship. And he didn't tell me, and he was trying to figure out how to get a meeting with me. And he had just been here in New York, and I haven't done like anything like that. And he's like, so this gave me he tells me his whole story of what he's done and how he got here and why he's looking for this mentorship. Mm-hmm. And all these people that he's friends with, he's 18, all these people from Utah are like commenting on his Instagram posts. Like so many people tagging me like, you don't understand, this guy's the most genuine, unbelievable person, hardest working, biggest heart, all these things, like expressing his character. And I'm like, wow. So of course I'm like, here you know, I hit him up like, the tickets are yours, bro, you know, and let's meet. And he's been with me for the past 3 days. This was on Friday, and I've been taking him with me day by day. He's here and mentoring him. Cal, where are you at?
Yeah, there
he is back there. And you know, if you really want to mentor, you know, you got to get in front of somebody. You got to push, you know, put him in front of me. I think it's more about you being a mentee than just a mentor, you know. Like how are you going to show that you're really dedicated, you really truly want it? That's unbelievable. So, you know, if anyone's an investor in the room, we got to talk to Cal.
True. That's amazing. It's like that resourcefulness, because that was going to be one of my next questions. You don't seem to have any fear about going to someone who maybe some people would be like, oh, that person's way out of my league. Like what? Like, oh God, that person's like CEO of this company. Why would they give me their time? You seem very fearless. You're like, screw it. Like, I'm going to meet this person. I'm going to shake their hand. Like, so how did you do that? Like, especially like for your first mentors and even up to this day. I mean, I'm probably sure it's easier now, but still. Yeah. How did you do that?
I talk about this. I just talked about this too recently, 2 days ago, with my videographer, who's been another unbelievable Jeff, Digital Jeff in the back. He's flown. He's got a family of 4 in Texas, and he's been following me for the past 6 months, just capturing my moments, capturing me, you know, with my mentors or mentoring, or with CEOs and founders and investors and disruptors and philanthropists, and just kind of. You know, capturing all these moments and the journey for the series. And you know, there's moments where I said to him, like, listen, you know, things are going to manifest. I'm just telling you now, things are going to manifest on their own. You got to have faith that thing, no matter what, you know, we're going to stay on this path. We're going to move forward. We don't know what's going to come out of it, but we're doing this from a genuine, authentic place, from our hearts. And no matter what, whatever is going to happen is going to be amazing. And if we do it from that place, no matter what, things will happen in your life. And you got to believe in that. You got to have faith, you know. And we talked about serendipity moments, and there's just moments where we're even little moments, like we'll be in a position and someone will be in that room, and we know they have a great story, but we're like, oh, I don't know if it's the right time to kind of just go up to them and like just ask them to see if they can give a little bit of inspiration about what their journey, whatever. Yeah. But every time we're like, let's just do it, you know. You never know.
Yeah,
and
try it out.
every single time we've done that, like, I can't wait for people to see the moments that we've captured. I mean, it's like unbelievable. You can't, and you're gonna, as an entrepreneur, you're gonna get no's. I've gotten so many no's. I've gotten judged 1,000,000 times over. I've gotten, you know, failed, all of that. It's part of it, you know. It's part of it. You learn, you go, you know, the process becomes the plan. Yeah. You know, you just gotta have that mentality that you're a winner and you're just gonna win. And even when you lose, it doesn't matter, because you're going to learn and you're just going to keep moving forward. And if you do that, if you have that faith, if you have that mindset and mentality, and you do it from that core, like, you'll be surprised how much will manifest in your life.
Yeah, you can move mountains that way.
Yeah,
for sure. So let's start to move forward. So when it comes to Elite Daily, how did that start? How many co-founders were there, and what were your early challenges there?
For sure. That was probably one of the best. That was the dream, you know. As any entrepreneur, when you have an idea and it's just that, an idea, right?
Yeah.
You know, to get into execution mode and build something, like is the dream as an entrepreneur. So how it all started was after I made that last documentary, College Conspiracy, exposing the student loan debt crisis, and I was kind of getting out of that, making that content. I had someone who I met. He was a young guy, like Cal. He was 18 years old. His name was David Arabov. And when I met David, I was, the first time I met David, actually, he was, I met him because there was this G-Shock watch that I wanted that had black diamonds on it back then. And I was like, oh man, how do I get this watch? I asked my trainer. My trainer was like, I got the guy. I'm gonna introduce you to this young guy, David. And I met David, got the watch, and we hung out, and when we got to know each other, he was like, I'm really looking for some guy, I'm looking for some inspiration right now. I kind of, you know, would you mind if we did, like, I came to your office, started working with you. I met him at the Gansevoort Hotel in the city, and I was like, yeah, 100%, come tomorrow. And just, that was it. Like, next day, he was there early, and he was at Pace University, but he just started working with me day in and day out, no questions asked, you know, just all in what I was doing at that time. And David came to me one day and said to me, I got an idea. I was making a lot of content at that time, and I had just got out of doing a lot of marketing and content around, you know, the economy, because I felt like everyone was paying attention to the Kardashians and Jersey Shore, and no one was paying attention to the true economics of our country. Yeah. And it's so important as our generation and our future generations. Like, there's a major issue that needs to be, you know, we need to pay attention to. Yeah. So I was focusing on that at the time. And David saw that, and he came to me with the idea. He was like, I want to start a website, and I want to focus it around, you know, millennials, and you know, our generation, for our generation. And I feel like there's nothing that speaks for our generation. Yeah. And we were going to tailor it a little bit towards business, but when he told me the idea, I was like, man, this could be huge. Like, I see a niche right now in the media market where there's a lot of these younger millennial type publications, but they were basically just gossip, sports, you know, entertainment. There was nothing that was like the Huffington Post or Gen Y, like a more mass vertical type publication for millennials at that time. I think timing is so important. And we just went all in. When we spent some time, I was like, let's do this together. Let's make it bigger. Let's hit every vertical. He came up with the Elite. I came up with the Daily. We ended up getting another co-founder, JSP, Jonathan. That's one of the hardest working, most unbelievable dudes I've ever met. He was a little bit more the tech savvy one of us. I was like the big brother. And I said, David, you're CEO. Like, you're going to run this. And we just started every single day. You know, we never built a big media publication before. So again, it was a lot of, you know, a lot of trial and error, a lot of experimenting. A lot of people said no to us in that early stages. And, you know, it was a lot of figuring out what was going to work, how we're going to engage our audience, what was the type of content, how we're going to get the right partnerships, distribution. Like, you know, there was a lot that went into that, but that's how it kind of initially came together.
Can I get another mic? Let's see, Josh. I think the batteries are dead. Just talk about it. Hello? Okay. I say that's amazing. And I've noticed, especially with the Elite Daily, like, you are a fantastic storyteller, and I can tell just by talking with you, like, you have a sort of, you have a very good pace with the way you tell stories, and it's very cohesive, it's very entertaining, it's amazing. So content-wise for Elite Daily, I'm sure you had a lot of hits and miss at the beginning, especially as you're acquiring users and you're getting more and more popular over time. What content did you finally hit that was like on point? And you're like, this is what our readers love. This is the stuff that they eat up.
Wow. Early on, it was so across the board. You know, first of all, we were trying to hit so many different verticals. Yeah. Which was really tough for us. And to be honest, it was really hard to pinpoint virality, like what was really going to trigger. We knew that we wanted to make sure that our writers were our generation. you know, and we're going to be able to tell stories. So it came from really their opinion, and it was for our generation, by our generation, and we knew that we were really targeting that 18 to 24 type of demographic. And what we realized was early on, we wanted to get out a lot of content. So we really had to figure out how can we had to bootstrap it. So how do we really, you know, build out our team and our editorial team and be able to get to a place where, you know, 80 to 100 articles per day was like our number, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so typically 80 articles per day was the number that we targeted, we wanted to reach. And so it was difficult early on because we were pumping out so much. And because of that, we learned the hard way that we made mistakes and it was very raw. We wanted to just make sure that we were telling stories in a different way that was very authentic and like, you know, I guess controversial. We allowed people to be controversial and allow people to rebuttal. And we figured out early on that, you know, for us, it was about how can we, if we're getting someone to truly engage with that post and comment, we've done our job because they've truly engaged and read. So how can we do that, and how can we tell these stories in a way that will resonate with our understanding our specific audience?
Absolutely, and controversial sort of topics, I could see how they would feed into that. I know a lot of people here are from the startup community, especially in New York City, et cetera. And I know traction is extremely hard to come by the first couple of months, the first year that you're working. It's one of those things that it makes you feel all alone at nights. You're just like, why? Why is it so hard? For you, how did it start to take off? Was it the content? Was it like some sort of pay-per-click endeavors? Was it press or some sort of partnerships? Like what did it for you? And did you try everything? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah. We definitely had a really tough time early on figuring out, you know, how to actually get the right partnerships. A lot of people look at Lead Daily and they kind of didn't believe that it was, you know, they kind of judged the traffic, and you know, it was tough to get early on to get the right partnerships. We had a tough time getting press, you know, early on. So that was, you know, that definitely wasn't it. I mean, for us, I know it sounds somewhat cliche, but it was definitely, a lot of it had to do with this culture that we built in this office, where like we knew that we were going up against all these huge media companies that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars. So, and we felt like we built an environment where, like, as an office, we like really came together. It was like a family, you know. And we were like, we had everyone stay, like, everyone just understood like what we stood for and how, you know, and what the goals were, and everyone played their part. You know, team was everything for us. It was like, how do we build the right team? How do we also become resourceful, like understand how to open up our platform, contribute for the right type of contributorship where we can pinpoint, you know, certain, you know, colleges and like certain people and influencers that we can get involved, and how we can allow them to help us recruit more and more writers of people who wanted to be able to express themselves and be able to do that through Elite Daily. And it was a lot of that, and then it was understanding Facebook. You know, we understood pretty quickly, like, hey, we got to get this content shared. How can we utilize, you know, Facebook and be able to get this content and build out our Facebook and get, you know, everybody, all of our contributors, and get everybody to want to share, you know, and that was like really some of the, you know, the main, you know, reasons why our content went viral. And then from there, it was getting the right strategic partners in place, you know, so getting, you know, the deal, you know, getting partnership with different other publications and being able to understand how we can bring value to them, understanding video, and like how we can tell stories through video. We've doubled down completely on video, and then finding advisors, the right advisors for us that could really advise us, was really important to our growth, for sure.
It's like, especially with a media company, that you have to jump forward. You have to make leaps and bounds into forward thinking in order to keep audience interest, especially after you get big, because then you have a reputation, you have all these people's eyes, and you have to retain them.
Yeah.
So I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, it was also obviously like studying analytics, understanding our user base, understanding where they're coming from, what they're clicking. I mean, now we ended up eventually, we learned like over time, you know, to get the right people to understand our analytics, and now we have like certain keywords that we know will actually trigger virality more than others. And we went from having like 1 or 2 viral articles and not understanding why to getting, more viral articles across the board, and understanding that and studying that. But it took a lot of time to get to that place and understanding that, and understanding mobile, understanding like how to stay on top of the trends, what's actually really trending, what are and being first to get to that topic that's actually relevant in the moment, and telling it differently than other publications are telling it, was extremely important. Yeah, so having those type of strategic partnerships was like really important. One in particular, right, which led to our acquisition. We really looked at the media landscape, like who are the real leaders that are out there, and how that are like the actual decision makers. You want to figure out how to get to those decision makers as quickly as possible, because they're the ones who are going to help you, really bridge that, like actually make the decision, right? And we looked at, BuzzFeed for us, for instance, was like the #1 publication that we looked at as like the peer in the market, a leader in the marketplace. So it was, for us, it was, understanding like who's there, who's the leader. And then when we saw John Steinberg and understood that there was that opportunity where he left BuzzFeed and he was in between, we automatically looked for people that were, from an advisory standpoint, that has experience, and then, how can we creatively get in front of them, and if we feel that they can really add value, bring them on as an advisor to the company, and offer them an advisory position. We did that, and that was huge for us, because it led to John then moving over to Daily Mail, and little did we know that. We knew that was going to be a huge advantage for us, working with Daily Mail, but we never thought that it would lead to, as quickly as it did, a potential acquisition. You got to prove that, as far as like in the early stages, like getting partnerships with, Huffington Post, as an example, and then, it was for us, it was really, I think, like, you got to be a good storyteller, all right? Like, whether you're raising capital, whether you're looking to get the advisor, whether you're looking to get the investor, whether you're looking for another partner, or a client, you have to be able to tell your story better than anybody else, and you're able to show like what is it that your product? Why are you the very best at that? And then you got to be able to tell that story with confidence, concisely, and great, and make people like believe in that. Whether it's an investor, partnership, whatever, you have to be a great storyteller. We wouldn't have sold our company if we weren't able to sell our story, So I think the most biggest answer I can tell you is like really understand like what your story is, and be great at telling that story, and understand like what that real big value proposition is that you have that is better than anyone else, and how you're going to then bring that value to that partner, and make them want to be a part of it. Cool.
I think that's the most possible.
Yeah, I'm going to be hanging out, so we'd love to, just hang out, meet everybody, and I appreciate everybody taking the time and coming here and hearing the story, and look forward to connecting to all of you and having you guys see the series as well.